The discussion around freedom of speech can often lead you into some uncomfortable conversations. It can lead you to defending some things that you find absolutely deplorable, things that you feel probably that the world would be better if they didn't exist. If you follow me on Twitter, at The Quartering, you see I was in a conversation earlier this week that is very touchy about freedom of speech, freedom of expression. And I don't think that one can say that they are freedom of speech or pro-freedom of speech and then insert the word but after it with one T. That's what often I run into. People say, well, I'm totally for freedom of speech, but no. You either are or you are not. Freedom of speech is something that isn't always easy to defend, and it separates the wheat from the chaff, or whatever that saying goes, when you have to defend something you find totally deplorable. And it's not about that one thing, and just because you defend that thing doesn't mean you support it. It just means that, hey, this is something that isn't for me, but art is art. Freedom of expression matters. And once we start saying I'm freedom of speech, but this and but that should be removed, that's a slippery slope that I don't ever want to head down. Now, we all know the situation on Twitter. We know that it is run by puritanical, crazy people that maybe don't outwardly often preach at their users. Although if you follow their main Twitter account, they have an indirect way of doing it. But what they do is moralize. They are the moral authority on what should and shouldn't be on their platform. And thus, people who have the quote-unquote wrong opinions are often purged. Enter alt tech, or I think more appropriately should be named as new tech. Internet 2.0. We've talked about how do you get around all this censorious stuff, and do we really need like an Internet 2.0 or an Internet 2? I think it's actually already here. It's websites like Minds.com, which I use every single day. I'm not super active on it, but I always make sure I post my videos there, minds.com/thequartering. Websites like BitChute, which currently is doing fundraising, and I'm thinking about doing a separate video for that. And in 2020, I'm going to try to do at least one BitChute exclusive video a week. BitChute is an alternative YouTube platform that's growing and run by, I think, just 2 people. There are sites out there that maybe I don't use. BitChute, Minds, Gab was another one that was always in the same conversation with me because they presented themselves as a free speech alternative. Now, there are people out there who say, well, free speech means I should be able to say whatever I want whenever I want to. While that is true, Gab and other tech companies still live in a world that is not free speech. If you remember a long time ago, Gab was, I believe, forced to delete a particularly spicy post by a user because their hosting company, Microsoft Azure, this is old news. But essentially what I mean is they marketed themselves as free speech, but online there are still rules. Even in the anonymous worlds of the image boards, they can still be infiltrated by the government and they will find out who you are. Recently, I've been trying to amp up my support for new tech. Minds, Gab, BitChute. There are other ones out there. Please talk about them in the comment section down below. But Gab was one that I always kind of supported in covering things. Like their Dissenter app, I think, is awesome. It allows you to essentially comment on any article on any website. You know how many websites nowadays are just removing their comment sections. I think Dissenter is revolutionary. I think that, the idea of Gab as a Twitter alternative was great. They absolutely marketed themselves to the free speech folks, the disenfranchised. And so when you have a lot of these new tech companies, Gab, Minds, when they launch, what you get is all of the castaways first. You get as society names them, the deplorable folks, right? People that get banned off YouTube move to BitChute. I'm here to say that I think if you're a new content creator, you should absolutely be using BitChute and use YouTube as an alternative. You still need YouTube's reach, but BitChute is worthy of our support. And just like the other video sharing websites before it, like VidMe, if I remember, there's obviously Dailymotion out there, which is just kind of existing. There are these sites that content creators should be supporting. It takes a little extra work to upload to multiple sites, but it's worth it. You should be supporting these platforms. If you care about fighting against tech censorship, which I do, which is why in 2020 I need to get off my butt and do more. I support both BitChute and Minds on Subscribestar. Actually, Subscribestar is another service that is a alt tech alternative to Patreon, and I've been using it for my channel, for support for my channel, and I love it. I love the service. Everyone who uses Patreon should be using Subscribestar instead. I said it. Now, Gab has been on this weird anti-spicy video rant lately, and doing probably the worst thing possible. It would appear their owner is using their primary Gab account to basically get into Twitter fights with people, and he looks bad. Now, this isn't anything that is in particular against Gab users. It puts me in a weird spot. Like, I'm not out here saying abandon Gab, but I'm saying Gab is self-immolating here. Gab is doing some absolutely moronic things. I mean, heck, they argued with me on Twitter last night, someone who's given them free marketing since the day they launched, because now they apparently feel like antagonizing people is the right way to market their platform. By calling Twitter is filled with adolescent man children who can't grow up and stop playing with dolls and stop being slaves to prawn. Call them what they are and revolt. What? And here's Pimp Master Broda getting his roast on Gab trends, because Gab getting on here saying, imagine if people got as excited about creating families and having their own children as they do over Disney's Baby Yoda. An entire generation is stuck in adolescence, and it's both pathetic and sad. I don't get it. Who is this message for? I mean, are you attacking fandoms? The idea that you can't be both a good father or mother and still enjoy the fandoms that you did when you were young is absurd. It's ridiculous. I work a full-time job. I produce 3 to 5 YouTube videos a day. And guess what? In my 4 hours of free time a week, I like to play video games. Does that make me an adolescent man-child who is both sad and pathetic? Me, a business owner, successful in business, with a master's degree, starting my doctoral program in spring. What an adolescent man-baby I must be. And you don't have to even have, if you could just be a good person and enjoy these things. Because the fact of the matter is, fandoms provide people escapism. And what's wrong with that? That doesn't make you adolescent. You know, our fathers and mothers had their bowling leagues and whatever it was that they did in the 70s and 60s. We have our fandoms. We have video games. We have Star Wars. We have board games. What's wrong with that? That doesn't make you adolescent. And I don't understand some of their just really, really bad takes. And it's starting to make me, I'm very close to disavowing Gab. They're just doing it to themselves here. And I don't understand why. Look at this ridiculous hot take from yesterday. Kids can't walk into a store and buy cigs. They can't buy beer. They can't even vote. Yet a 9-year-old with an iPad can instantly and freely access all manners of absolute degeneracy and debauchery. Wonder why an entire generation is a mess. Well, I don't think an entire generation is a mess. I think that America is thriving, and it's thriving on the backs of this generation. These are the innovators. These are the people pushing the economy forward. These are the people who become millionaires doing jobs that didn't exist just 10 years ago. And the fact of the matter is, this example is just bad. I'll tell you why. A 9-year-old, where did that 9-year-old get that iPad, by the way? Did they use their $2 a week allowance and go buy it online with a credit card they don't have? No. Somebody bought them that iPad, right? And just because that kid can't walk into a store and buy beer or walk into a store and buy cigs, that doesn't mean they can't go into their mom's purse and grab a couple smokes like I did when I was young. Or if dad has beer in the fridge, what's stopping them from taking that either? Ultimately, in all three scenarios, it's up to the parents to do, I know it seems crazy, parent. There are entire tech industries and tablets, for example, the Amazon Fire Kids, that are completely cornered off from these types of websites. If you cared about that, that's what you'd buy your kids. If you cared about that, you'd take 10 minutes to lock down their iPad so they couldn't do that. The same way that you would make sure your kid knows don't smoke and your kid knows don't touch daddy's beer or you'll get daddy's belt. This is not a great example. And the idea that as they've continued to spiral out of control, they try to come out with this controversy marketing works every single time. Okay, you're right. I'm making this video. But which one of my viewers is now going to be inspired to create a Gab account? I don't care what my viewers' opinions are on these types of videos. The fact of the matter, it is speech. And it is protected. It is under the umbrella that I would say qualifies as free speech. Here we have someone who's clearly on the other end of the spectrum as Jack Dorsey and his team, acting the exact same way. It doesn't matter if you agree with his take or not about these videos. What matters is he's moralizing, banning anything from his platform, which is fine, by the way, because the open market is going to react to that by itself. I don't need to tell people, well, they banned these videos, leave Gab. No, that's fine. Either people are going to like it or people are not going to like it. But dude is out here using his business account as his personal account, picking fights with people and arguing, and it looks bad. What are you more interested in, Gab? The personal clout that comes with a Twitter account with 175,000 followers, or building your business? You're talking the exact same way that Twitter does, just about a different topic. Replace these videos with hate speech, and you're saying the exact same stuff. You better reverse course soon, Gab, or your platform is simply going to be for the super religious authoritarians. In fact, it'll just be the mirror opposite of Twitter. Bad in all the same ways. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.